High on a hill in Kabul, in the west of the city, there's this place. Find a big steel gate, barbed wire on top. Locals apparently don't talk about it much. Hardly anyone visits. They call it Qala, the fortress.
Yeah, the fortress. But it's not actually a military base or anything like that. It's the women's wing of a mental health center run by the Afghan Red Crescent Society, the ARCS. And it's the biggest facility of its kind for women in the whole country. There are only a handful.
Right, and that's what we're diving into today, the really complex reality of women's mental health in Afghanistan. We've got some exclusive insights from inside Qala itself, personal stories, and some critical data, too.
Exactly. The goal here is to help you understand not just the challenges these women face day to day, but the bigger picture. Why are so many trapped? What does it mean for them and, honestly, for Afghan society?
And it seems like the central idea is that Qala, this place meant for healing, has become something else entirely for many women.
That's the crux of it. It's almost counterintuitive. A place of healing turning into, well, an inescapable prison. That name, Qala, fortress, it kind of tells you something straight away, doesn't it?
It really does, that sense of being cut off.
Completely. It's secluded, physically fortified, like you said, gate, barbed wire, and inside, it's packed. 104 women are housed there. The staff, well, they're finding it really difficult to cope. The numbers are just overwhelming.
Okay.
But the biggest challenge, the thing that really defines this place for so many, once you're inside, it's incredibly hard, sometimes impossible to leave.
That's heartbreaking. And the stories you hear from inside, they really bring that home. Let's talk about Mariam.
Okay.
She's thought to be in her mid-20s, been in Qala for 9 years now.
9 years, yeah.
Her backstory involves, well, alleged abuse, neglect from her family. Apparently her brothers used to beat her just for visiting neighbors.
Because of certain cultural beliefs, right? About young girls being unsupervised outside the home.
Exactly. And after that, she ended up homeless. Someone, a woman, found her on the streets, brought her to the center.
So she had literally nowhere else.
Nowhere. But what's striking, despite all that, is her spirit. People say she has this constantly radiant smile. She sings a lot.
Wow.
And she's actually one of the few patients who's allowed to help out, volunteer with cleaning.
So she seems functional, engaged in some ways.
Very much so. She's ready for discharge, wants to leave, but there's nowhere for her to go. She actually said, I don't expect to return to my father and mother. I want to marry someone here in Kabul because even if I go back home, they'll just abandon me again.
And that just lays it bare, doesn't it? Her situation is a perfect storm, really, illustrating the wider context. You have these strict Taliban regulations now, layered on top of deeply, deeply ingrained patriarchal traditions. It makes independent life for women almost unthinkable.
How so, practically?
What? Legally, socially, women need a male guardian, a malra, for almost everything significant. Travel, getting a job, even accessing certain services.
So independence isn't really an option.
Not practically. Most economic paths are closed off. This reinforces total financial dependence on male relatives, a father, brother, husband. So if a woman is well enough to leave Qala, like Mariam, but has no family willing or able to take her, or no male guardian, she's stuck, completely trapped.
It sounds like a societal catch-22.
Yeah.
Healing doesn't equal freedom. Is there any way out for someone like Mariam? Any path to independence at all?
Honestly, for most women in that specific situation, no. The dependence is near absolute. Without that male guardian, without family support, the options just evaporate.
Yeah.
Which is why they remain confined.
And Mariam's story isn't unique in this regard, is it?
Not at all. Take Habiba. She's 28. She was brought to Qala by her husband.
Why?
He was essentially forcing her out because he'd remarried.
Oh, wow.
And like Mariam, she's deemed ready for release, but she has nowhere to go. The husband won't take her back. Her mother is widowed, can't support her.
What about children? Does she have any?
Yes, 3 sons. They live with an uncle now. They visited her at first, but she said she hasn't seen them at all this year. And she doesn't have a phone, so she can't even call them. Her biggest wish, she says, is just, I want to be reunited with my children.
It's just devastating. These stories are so personal, but they point to something bigger, don't they? A system under strain. You mentioned the center is overwhelmed.
Hugely. There's been a massive increase in patients needing admission over the last 4 years, several times more than before. They have a waiting list now.
So people can't even get in when they desperately need help.
Exactly. Which brings us to Zainab. Her story really highlights the desperation families can face.
How old is she?
Just 16. She's one of the youngest patients there now. Her family tried for a whole year to get her admitted.
A year? Why so long?
No beds available. Simple as that. The waiting list.
So what was happening to her during that year?
She was kept at home, confined. Her family had her ankles shackled.
Shackled? What?
To stop her from running away. It's not clear exactly what her diagnosis is, but she struggles to communicate, to verbalize her thoughts. She breaks down crying easily, especially apparently when she sees her own mother cry.
That's incredibly difficult to imagine. What does her family say about this?
We heard from her father, Feda Mohammed, visibly distressed, He explained the police had recently found Zainab miles away from home, which is incredibly dangerous for a young woman alone in Afghanistan, especially now without a male guardian for travel. He said she climbs the walls and runs away if we unchain her.
Was there a trigger? Something that made her condition worse?
He believes so. He mentioned her condition deteriorated badly after her school was bombed, multiple times, in April 2022. She was apparently thrown against a wall by one blast. She and others helped carry out the wounded, even bodies. The trauma must have been immense.
Unimaginable.
And the father, he argued, look, it was better for her and for the family's safety and, frankly, honor that she be confined. Her running away repeatedly was seen as dishonoring him.
Wow. Hearing about shackling, the father's reasoning, it just screams desperation, a total lack of other options. So how do these cases, Mariam, unable to leave, Zainab's family resorting to chains, how do they reflect the broader situation? Are these isolated tragedies, or is this really about a deeper societal crisis that Qala itself is just trying to contain?
Oh, it's absolutely a symptom of a much larger crisis.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's this tragic mix of intense societal pressure, very low mental health, literacy, stigma, and just no safe alternatives for families or the women themselves. If you zoom out, you see this heartbreaking scale of abandonment. Salima Halib, she's a psychotherapist at Qala. She mentioned some patients have been there for decades, 35, 40 years. She said, quite bluntly, some have been completely abandoned by their families. No one comes to visit, and they end up living and dying here.
Living and dying in a mental health facility because there's nowhere else.
Exactly. It's a stark outcome of years, decades really, of conflict that have scarred the mental health landscape, especially for women. And the issue itself, mental illness, is often just not understood, heavily stigmatized.
It sounds incredibly bleak, but then you have these official statements painting a different picture. We know the visit to Qala, the interviews, they were overseen by Taliban government officials. And their deputy spokesperson, Hamdullah Fitrat, told the BBC their government did not allow any violence against women and that they have ensured women's rights in Afghanistan.
Right, and this is where the contrast becomes just jarring, because you have those statements and then you have, say, UN data from this year, 2024. It points to a worsening mental health crisis and explicitly links it to the Taliban's crackdown on women's rights. 68% of women surveyed said their mental health was bad or very bad.
68%, that's staggering.
It is, and you hear it from clinicians on the ground too. Dr. Abdul Wali Utmanzai, a senior psychiatrist at another ARCS hospital nearby, he sees up to 50 outpatients a day, mostly women.
50 a day.
Yeah. Many dealing with just crippling economic pressure. He said, 80% of my patients are young women with family issues, often with no male relative to provide for them.
So the need is immense.
Immense. And even though the Taliban government says it's committed to health services, the reality of their restrictions bites hard. Restrictions on women moving freely without that male chaperone. It stops many from even trying to get help.
So it's a vicious cycle then. Restrictions limit access to care, which likely worsens mental health, creating more need for places like Qala.
Which are already full.
Exactly. And the longer women like Mariam or Habiba, maybe even Zainab eventually, stay trapped inside Qala because they have nowhere else to go.
The fewer beds there are for others outside who are desperately waiting, it locks up the whole system.
Yeah.
Which brings us right back to that core, profound dilemma, Qala. A place meant to heal, but for so many it's become this inescapable refuge, a fortress they can't leave.
So as you listen to this, it really makes you think, doesn't it? About what individual autonomy even means, what mental well-being means when society itself builds these kinds of walls.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. What does it truly mean for any society, anywhere, to claim it ensures women's rights when so many women are either physically locked up or just trapped by circumstances, by restrictions they can't control, even inside the very places meant to offer them care?